Hi, everybody. It's Georgia Rose from Zencuda, and it's Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, so this must be Tuesday Night Live. I hope you've all been following me on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and everywhere that we follow everybody these days. So, hi, Donna. How are you? I hope you're feeling well. I know Donna's in some treatment and having some days a tough time, but she is absolutely a warrior, so we have to send her out kudos for that. Hi, Jackie. How are you doing? And we have John. Just going to give everyone a few minutes to pop on. The energy has been, as usual, a little bit intense, but not too intense for us warriors, right? Um, we have some transits coming up. I want to talk a little bit about astrology tonight. Hi, Heidi. I have your chart. I'm working on it slowly. I'm a little behind on charts, guys. I have some other work to do. So, and I also had a loss this week. So, one of my friends passed. So, I'm going to send him some beautiful energy. We actually had a Zoom funeral this morning. So, I guess that's the way of the world now. We're honoring our past loved ones over Zoom. So, hopefully, we'll have a memorial service when things get a little bit opened up for us here in New York. Hi, Marianne. So I want to talk about the astrology a little bit, and then I want to explain what the transits are doing, and then I want to explain what I think we all really need to start focusing on that will maybe bring us to a really good place. Because I know a lot of us have been feeling very conflicted in this energy, polarized in this energy. Really have to admit that it's quite volatile out there in the world these days. So, okay, so we have right now Mars isn't usually so influential in our everyday lives and our everyday charts, but right now it is because it's aspected in a certain way by quite a few planets, and also it's staying in the sign of Aries for 6 months, which is unusual. Usually we do not have Mars in Aries or Mars in any sign for over 6 months, but this year it does stay there, and it's going to go retrograde, obviously, and stay there for a while. And we have all these other planets. So what's happening is as the planets transit around the Earth these days, they're hitting that hot spot, which I like to call Capricorn soup, that Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn trifecta that's been in Capricorn will not move until the end of this year. And because it's all the planets are highlighting that touch point, we keep repeating the same energy. And that's why it might seem for us like we're stuck in an area where, the virus keeps coming back and we keep hearing about that. It's been a long time now. Or the rioting and the looting and the division of everything, in the political division, the racial division. It's been going on and on and on. And it's because we keep touching that point in the sky that initiated it, that actuated it. So now we have Mars coming into that point, and it's done that already. It's going to do it again because everything when it retrogrades does it again. But this week, Mars is squaring Mercury. And when Mars squares Mercury, it sets off a little bit of aggression, which I know we've had a lot of this year, and I hate to sound negative, but truthfully, the aggression that Mars is going to set off is in our thoughts. It's going to make us want to really push our agendas. It's going to want to make us be right. And that's not always healthy, right? So it can make us rush in our thinking because Mercury is our thoughts and Mars is our aggression. It's our firepower. It can give us a short temper. It can make us jumpy, unsettled. For those of you who maybe have been, coming around and in the evening, going to bed, maybe you're falling asleep okay, and then waking up in the middle of the night. That's definitely a Mars type of energy. I don't know what's wrong with my lighting, but it's weird stuff going on. Whatever. So that's the Mars energy. It makes us like have racing thoughts. It makes us not be able to focus sometimes because it's touching that Mercury. So we're jumpy, we're unsettled, and some of us might be either sleeping interrupted or having dreams. It can also, I'm reading my notes, it can also give us disagreements, open hostility. So what I'm going to say to everybody is, while you're feeling all these things, keep in mind that so is everyone else. And so when we become short with people or we don't have patience with people, realize they're feeling exactly as you do. So tread cautiously, because I think that's why a lot of times arguments ensue, because we go into our own thoughts and our own feelings and we don't realize that the person next to us is feeling just as like, right? So we have to remember that. And remember that everyone is feeling a certain way. Everyone is pushed to the max sometimes. We all have our breaking points. So let's not poke each other. Let's not provoke each other. Um, this also is not great energy for studying, doing paperwork, anything that you really need your mind to be calm and trained and focused on. So just know that. So what's the good use of this energy? Good use of the Mercury square Mars is going to be sports, but not competitive sports. Playful sports, team sports, things that bring you in unity and unison with the other. Don't try to be confrontational in this energy. If you have a really important conversation to talk to someone about, make sure that you're going in with the idea of um, reconciliation, compassion, solution oriented. You want to reconcile the issue. If you go in just because you want to push your agenda or you just want to be right, it's not going to go very well. I'll tell you that right now. This is good for controlled, conservative activities, creation, writing, because if your mind's herky-jerky, writing all your thoughts down. It's good energy for art because you're going to interpret things and bring the energy down in your art. It's also good for anything that's non-competitive but also brings out creativity in you. So, I don't know, coloring, drawing, sketching, playing games with the kids if you have small children that are not competitive but fun. This is an energy where we're going to go into criticism and judgment really quickly. And I know we've had that energy a lot in the last few months, but this is like the tipping point of it. So I really wanted to talk about it because I think one of the ways this energy is going to play out for many of us is we're going to want to not only push our own agenda, but we're going to get to a place where we almost want to be right at any cost, and where if we can't be right, we're going to just eliminate the person. Like, okay, I'm never speaking to you again, and then, a whole bunch of conflict ensues. It's very much that type of energy. This is where the critical mind comes in. Insistence upon intolerance, like, I just can't take it anymore, I'm not doing it, cutting people out of your life and then regretting it, that kind of energy. It brings the greater hostility and the intense judgment. It's very emotionally charged. But the reason it does this is to initiate change. So if you can understand that and polarize the energy to go into that change and welcome it in a compassionate, in a beautiful way. It's compromise, not sacrifice, though. So be aware that this energy wants to be constructive. It doesn't want you to sacrifice and just do something to get along with someone. It wants the change to come. It wants us to be aggressive, assertive, really speak out our truth, but not in a, right is might, I'm going to be right at any cost, not in a militant way. This energy is created so that we harbor change, and there's going to be a lot of people who things come to the surface and are said that they have been really holding back a long time, but it's to do it so that healing ensues. So what I wanted to talk about with this energy is, I just want to go into it a little bit more, because then Venus starts to square Neptune. And when Venus squares Neptune, that's really good for imagination. It's good for like healing, but healing from like a new idea, innovation, that kind of thing. It's almost hard for me to describe some of these energies because I don't want to be too negative, but they're very powerful energies coming in right now. And they're going to be with us starting this week, starting yesterday actually. And then Mars starts to really hit off this stuff because it's going to start to oppose that Capricorn stew we're talking about. So the energy like kind of builds for about a week. This weekend it really is hot, So I'm going to tell everybody how to really deal with the energy. I just want to keep describing it a little more because this is about communication and the desperation of it rising. So people are really going to want to push their agenda politically, religiously. If there's things that have been going on in your family that are very ancestral or patterns for a long time that you've been arguing over, they're going to come to a head now, and they're going to do that in order to finally heal them. So just know that. This is about fear-based traditions, especially when Mars starts to get into it later in the week with Jupiter, Capricorn, and Saturn. That's going to be more towards next week and next weekend, not this coming weekend. So we're going to have this for about 10 days. So this is meant to bring up fear, trepidation, our are structures that we rely on, but they're really an illusion because we're better off without them. So it's hard work, it's tough work, but it's beautiful work because it enables us to see truth. It enables us to finally clear the decks, sweep the porch clean, so that we can really go after the life that is idyllically the one that we want and stop going around these circuitous type of liaisons and type of relationships where we just never get out of the same old patterns. And so this is really about beliefs, our beliefs of what's really true. It's about strength and willpower. It's about free will. It is about exercising your free will in a healthy way, finally stepping into that power. And so I was really thinking a lot about this, and as I always do. And, because when I see the energy and I see some difficult energy, some energy of tension coming in, I always really ask myself, well, why was I born to experience this? What's my takeaway? What am I really supposed to be doing here? And quite frankly, I think this energy is about self-care. And I know that sounds really kind of funny, but let me explain. So, what is self-care really? Self-care is our power. When are we most powerful? When we're caring for ourselves and we're nurturing ourselves and we're bringing ourselves to another level in our evolution. So, when I'm going to talk about self-care a little bit today, and I don't mean like going and getting a massage or, bringing the kids to a babysitter and taking 5 minutes for yourself or getting your hair cut, or those things are important, yes. Meditation, important. All those things, ways that we would self-care. But the most powerful way that we can self-care is by not allowing others' behavior to influence our life. That's self-care too. And so when you're in a power struggle with someone, a drama control, and you are really trying to push your agenda, or someone else is trying to push their agenda on you, and God knows we can't look at a news feed without feeling that way now, right? And it pricks our buttons, it pokes us. But the epitome of self-care is not allowing that. The epitome of self-care is being interested and observing, but living your life in your own authority. And so when you think about self-care over this next week or so, as we're dealing with some of these energies, think about, what do I have to do to care for myself in my relationships, in my job, in my situations, in life, And I'm not talking about getting a massage and a manicure. I'm talking about, what do you need to walk away from? What do you need to speak up for in a healthy way that your free will be proud of? And what it really comes down to is loving yourself more than your need to be right. Because I see this bickering and these power struggles and these pushing of agenda going on all day long on news feeds, on social media, on the supermarket. And the real self-care, the real space we need to inhabit is caring so much for ourselves that doesn't affect us to the point of emotion, anger, fear, trepidation, limitation, right? Speak your piece in a healthy way, especially to your loved ones, and get to a point where you love yourself more than your need to be right. And the only way you need to be right is within yourself. And sometimes being right means you may eliminate someone, you may walk away, wishing them love the whole time. It may mean that you finally sit down and have a really important conversation with someone, and that you're bold enough not to eliminate them, but do the work, because you're just going to keep learning that lesson and learning that lesson until you do that. So what I would suggest this week is, if we could all ask ourselves, what do we really need to do for self-care? Our higher self, caring for our higher self, our soul self, the real individual self that's the most important being that we have inside of us. And I think you might get some pretty interesting answers. And the other things, I came up with a couple of series of questions for myself, actually. And one of the things that I said was, for myself, I'm looking over there, what are you proud of? And sometimes, because I see this also when I look at the news feeds and the social media and things, like, what are you proud of? Because sometimes we're prideful and we're selfish, right? We feel proud of something and we immediately want to defend it. We immediately want to keep it for ourselves. And in my mind, if you're proud of something, it's meant to be shared. If you're proud of a belief and you know that it's really love and it's altruistic, then preach, man, preach, you know. If you're proud of a modality, a healing technique you have, share it with the world. Don't feel the need to defend it or go into a conversation that's an offense defense. Share it with love. And so ask yourself, what do you need to do for self care, the care of your higher self? And then ask, what are you really proud of? And are you sharing that with the world? Because if something is really so beautiful that you are proud of it within you, then it should be shared, right? And I feel like crying when I say that because I think that the matrix that's out there, right, that's trying to control us, I think that it's making us defend the things we're proud of. And that's a waste of energy. We should be sharing the things we're proud of, not defending them, not fighting to the death for something. Just be it. Be it, you know? And then lastly, the other question that I was thinking was your sense of right should not be how you value yourself. And by that I mean, if someone doesn't agree with you, so what? So what? Just be interested in their other side. When you look to research something, see something online and you hear something, or you see a video or a suggestion of something, when you look to get your information, do you also look at the opposition? Or do you only seek information that supports your belief? Right? So think about that, because part of our evolution is looking for information that doesn't just support our belief, but look at others and what they're believing and see how it resonates with you. Different data points, right? And then what happens is it becomes a question of your sense of what's right doesn't define you. It just becomes innate. You are that, but it's not something you need, again, to defend if someone doesn't agree with you, because you've seen the other side, you've read about it, you've looked at it. Oh, I understand. I can see why they think that. Or, well, I don't understand that at all, but I read about it, so I understand the way they believe. That's respectful. That's educational for yourself and your higher self. And I've been trying to do that, and believe me, it's not easy, because I am very much falling into a lot of times that defend, this is whatever it should be, how could they do that? Drop the judgment, drop the defense, offense. Just really go into the fact that you love yourself and your own beliefs and be really strong in that. And then whatever energy comes, you're going to be strong enough to handle it. So practice that self-care. That's really, really crucial right now in this energy. That's going to lead to your own healing. And it's also going to lead to some really interesting different perspectives on things. And especially as we go into this weekend, we have some beautiful positive energy coming in the beginning of next week when we have a Uranus-Sun transit. And that is those aha moments. It's the divine intervention of, wow, I didn't see that, really getting deep downloads, divinity touching you, that kind of thing. And it's right in the mix of this energy, this volatile, combative energy. Why is that? Well, because the universe wants us to examine polarities so that we evolve even higher than we are right now. By understanding both sides and by seeing the polarity, we'll really be able to merge it because we understand both sides. You can't merge polarity, you can't find a middle if you're only looking at one end. You can't find the middle. You have to look at both ends to find the middle. And I think self-care is in the middle. You know, I feel like we've got people pushing the agenda, we've got people hiding from the agenda. And in the middle of that apex is self-care. And the self-care is what's going to bring us the healing to merge those and find our own truth and live in it powerfully, because we get our power back through our self-care. And so then, no matter what's going on around us, we're powerful because we're caring for ourselves in the best way we can, whether that's in our personal life, in the relationships that we have to clean up, in the relationships that we have to heal, in the relationships we have to make stronger, or whether that's globally with our political, religious, spiritual, and worldviews, right? So I'm going to look and see if there's any comments or questions. And then I have one more thing I want to tell you guys about. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Donna. I know. Things that happen all day around here with the lights. I'm quitting one of my jobs for it. So I guess that's great. I hope it's great. Very difficult living with mentally challenged. And I'm going to tell you, I'm glad you brought that up, Chris, because This energy heightens a lot of mentally challenged people because it's that Mercury thought process with the aggression of Mars. So a lot of people who have, bipolar or disorders, this energy is very, very hard for them, very hard for them. Um, so one of the things that happened to me, and it was so weird because one of my teachers online mentioned the same prayer, and I woke up, I guess it was Sunday or Monday morning, and I woke up and the prayer of St. Francis came to me. And it was so strange because this prayer came to me way back in March when all these stuff first started to change in the world. And I'm going to, as we close tonight, I'm just going to recite the St. Francis prayer because I think, and look it up online because I think, we should be putting that somewhere on our phones or in our, space that we can really see somewhere because I feel like the prayer of St. Francis is really the message right now for how we need to self-care and be in the world. And this is the prayer of St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, and it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. So I think that that's really a beautiful prayer, and I think that it's really kind of appropriate for right now and what we're all going through. And if we can apply that to our loved ones, apply that to the stranger in the street, drop the judgment, but most of all, apply that to our self-care and go into that union with our higher self and really, really give ourselves self-care. Because this energy isn't meant to be spent on the external world right now. Yes, give the collective healing and do your work in the collective if that's what you do. But the real place we're supposed to be right now is caring for ourselves, healing ourselves, and really going into a space of self-care where we emerge more powerful so that we can heal the collective and tell them what we've learned and show them what we know. So that's really all I had to say tonight. I don't know if anybody has anything they want to add. I'll be on Thursday, talk a little bit more about the astrology and some other things. Hopefully I'll be back in the studio at Gov soon. I know these sometimes the Thursday nights are a little boring because I don't have a guest, and I really want my guests back, so I may do that anyway. I'll have someone come to the house. And that's about it. So words of the day: expansion, transformation. Challenge that status quo. Don't defend it. Let it fall away. Let it melt because there's something really beautiful that wants to emerge in your life. All right. Thank you so much. I will see you all on Thursday night, 6:30 on govsradio.com. Thanks so much. Good night.